Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for the story we're about to go to with. We are on Classic X-Men number 32 from 1989. I say this every single video, but hey, this could be somebody's first video. The reason I choose Classic X-Men is because of the backup stories. Some of the earlier ones had extra pages added to them as well, but there's no more supplemental material, only the backups. So we'll continue using Classic X-Men up until 40 something, I don't remember, when the last of the backups. We are here with regular cover artist Steve Lytle, who replaced Art Adams as permanent cover artist, although Karen Doyer had done a few. Steve Lytle will have a pretty lengthy run, just like Art Adams did. So, of course, this issue will deal here, kind of gives you what the plot will be, but then the backup story is going to be occurring during X-Men 126, and it just expands on Nightcrawler and Wolverine's encounter with Proteus and reveal of Wolverine's deeply hidden insecurities. And of course, here's the regular cover. Dave Cockrum is continuing to do the covers. For some reason, I don't know why. They don't have Byrne doing them, so it is a nice cover though. I like this cover more than the one Steve Lytle did. I mean, he did okay, but this one I think is more action packed, and I love it. In Search of Mutant X. And of course, we have the frontispiece here, which the main story here. It looks like, again, Chris Claremont is getting full writer credit. No, John Byrne is not getting the co-plot credit here. And Nocenti is continuing to write the backup story. Chris Claremont has not written one in a couple issues here. And then I love all this dry brush. I assume it's dry brush by Steve Lytle. Steve Lytle, rest in peace. We got Moira McTaggart holding a shotgun here. They are in Scotland. I do know that they have a little bit more liberal laws down there with guns, but hey, it was the late 70s, early 80s, so who knows. But again, I'm wondering if he's using some kind of uh, not marker, charcoal perhaps, or some kind to get this, but I really do enjoy it. So, and so here we go. So we got our credits up here. And so again, Chris Claremont sole writer credit. So here comes the X-Men Blackbird heading towards Scotland here. I love how they color the water green. I don't like though that, you know, I prefer when colors don't blend toward each other. So all right. So they're yelling at the bird cuz the blackbird cuz it's so loud. So I'm surprised they're going so fast. I'm surprised that Banshee even notices that. But Cyclops says we're about to reach Muir Isle. It looks like they did good time. And Wolverine says, "Shoot, we left New York barely an hour ago. Didn't even wait for the beast like he asked." And Cyclops says, "There wasn't time, Wolverine. Now, do it by the numbers, people. Just like we practice. We don't know what we're up against. So, come in hard and fast. Colossus." I'm ready, Cyclops. So, I don't know what happens to these pants when he turns. I I don't get it. They always gave him these pants when he was in human form, but then they're gone. And I don't know. I don't think that's ever been explained. So Colossus goes through, And Cyclops, can you hear me? I'm down I'm down and all seems well. No sign of hostile activity. So Cyclops says keep him posted and to take care. So Storm grabs Wolverine and he goes, "Take it easy, will you, Ororo? You left my stomach back on the flaming plane." And Storm says, "Our friends are in danger, Wolverine. We cannot afford to waste even an instant." So Cyclops is going to land here, and he says, "Get going, Nightcrawler. Teleport into the residence and search it from attic to cellar. Don't worry, Cyclops. And you see, Bamf, already there." And so Banshee comes down. He's got a gun. "You're pushing awful hard, Cyclops. You didn't hear Lorna Dane scream over the phone, Sean. I've never heard such raw terror." And then, a moment later, the line went dead. That was over an hour ago. A lot can happen in that much time. Just before we were cut off, Lorna said the lab security alarms had sounded, that JB Madrox and my brother Alex had gone to check things out. And so Nightcrawler is on his earpiece and says to come at once in a hurry. So he says, "What is it, Kurt? See for yourself. Lorna's alive, I think, but this other one is beyond our help." And he goes, "My God, I found the man's wallet. It's Angus MacWhirter." So now this part here is a little funny. Not funny in the haha sense, but so Cyclops says, "MacWhirter, that skinflint." It's probably like, I don't know, means something. I don't know. The X hated the X-Men's guts. What's he doing here? And his body, it looks mummified, but how? Who or what is responsible? So what I mean is, how I understand they had just had that altercation, but how does he know? Oh, he hated us. Like, what? I don't know. But it's Chris Claremont just kind of letting the reader know that he really did, but I don't think Cyclops would have necessarily known that. But anyway, so Banshee says Lorna's a bit shocky, but she should be all right. And Nightcrawler's picking up like this blanket here. "If this is what she saw when you two were on the phone, Cyclops, it's no wonder she screamed." Nightcrawler, Cyclops says, "Teleport over to the lab. There are still 4 people missing. Moira, Alex, Jamie, and Jean. Not to mention whoever's behind this. On my way, Cyclops, and don't worry, we'll find them." And Banshee says, "Without my sonic scream, I'm not much to you, Psych. I'll keep a watch over Lorna." "Fine, Banshee. If there's any change in her condition, or if you run into trouble, give a holler on the radio." And so, Cyclops says, "It's been months since Banshee's injuries, yet his powers show no signs of regenerating. What do we do if the damage never heals?" "That's okay. We'll find out." "Storm, pick me up," he says. And so she takes Cyclops. And Storm says, "I've scouted the entire island from the air, Cyclops. There are no signs of any intruders or of our friends. Head for the lab, Storm. That's where I'm betting we'll find them." So here comes Nightcrawler. And suddenly he's attacked. That looks like Havoc. And of course it is. He says, "Hey, it's Nightcrawler." He says, "Sorry, Buster, Nightcrawler's dead, and I stopped believing in ghosts long ago." And so, of course, he still thinks I'm dead. And of course, Colossus grabs him, and he's using his power. But Colossus says, "I've faced your energy blast before, my American friend, and withstood them." "Huh, Colossus, you're alive. I and all the X-Men, Havoc. It's good to see you again." So and this looks like Moira McTaggart, but they don't know that. So Storm's going to use her wind, but it was. And she's happy to see them that Cyclops is not dead. And so Cyclops is going to go look for Jean. So he's saying, "I'm breaking my own rules by taking off on my own into a potential danger area. But after all that's happened, I want to be alone when I see Jean." So he walks in and says, "Jean." And Says here, she's alive, but in shock, just like Lorna. Neither of them are pushovers. Whatever hit them must have been pretty impressive. Hold it, she's coming around, and of course, um, she's she's all of a sudden sees Jason. I knew it was you, and suddenly, Cyclops like, who the fuck is Jason? I know he doesn't say that. I just figured I'd add that. So, part of the reason I chose Classic X-Men, if you followed the from the beginning where I've had it, is all the exposition that was added that the original X-Men just didn't have. I mean, I think he did the best he could with the amount of pages he had limited. Remember, X-Men wasn't a full 30 pages. I think it was 17 pages for a while. And in between the stories, he just had a little bit. So the Classic X-Men was able to add so much more. So check out those playlists as to how much more. My goodness, what is his name? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Mastermind. How he's been able to influence Jean so much. So here we go. So the X-Men are meeting, and there, of course, we got the multiple man here. And he's basically explaining everything that happened. So J.B. Madras, of course, becomes the leader of X. Actually, both Havoc and him end up as leaders of X Factor. Havoc first during Peter David's first run, and then Multiple Man second during Peter David's second run as writer on X Factor. So he's basically saying, when the alarms sounded, I created a squad of duplicates. So Havoc and I could search the labs more quickly. I left one of them guarding the house just in case. When he heard Lorna scream, he rushed to help her. She fired a magnetic force bolt at Mutant X. That's what blew the lights, but it hadn't done any good. My duplicate tackled him, and suddenly I felt as my soul was being torn out of me. I couldn't stop him, Moira. I doubt any human can, Jamie love. You did your best, lad. Your duplicate sacrifice saved Lorna's life. So, and Wolverine here says, what are we waiting for, troops? The day ain't getting any younger. Let's get after the sucker. And sit down, Wolverine. We're not going anywhere yet, says Cyclops. And of course, we're back at this again. What's the matter, bub? You scared? Yes. And you know what Jean and Lorna can do? And Jamie once held his own against the entire Fantastic Four, yet Mutant X easily beat all of them. So, we have to know who Mutant X is, what his powers are, his strengths, weaknesses, needs, and how he thinks and feels. It could make the difference between victory or defeat, life or death. You know I'm right, Wolverine. And he goes, I know, but I don't have to like it. And he slices a piece of the table as he smacks it. So, and Cyclops says, I checked the files, Moira. There's nothing on Mutant X. And she says, it's a private matter. And Cyclops says, was a private matter. He's killed, Moira. He'll kill again. You've got to help us before it's too late. It was too late the day he was born. Who is Mutant X, Moira? He's my son, says Moira. And I love how Byrne just that look is just perfect for this for revealing. Just I think this looks this piece here, this panel looks absolutely great. And so we got that multiple man duplicate who's been possessed by Proteus. Now, Proteus is still around. In fact, he's part of this new X-Men, whatever's going on in Krakoa, whatever the X-Men are. I have no idea because I haven't read it, and because I'm not interested in it. So, I haven't read X-Men since Bendis left. So when Bendis took over, I read it. And then once he left, I just lost my interest. So, and of course, I kept up before Bendis with the X-Men versus the Avengers, which I thought was pretty cool. Expensive when you buy all those issues, but pretty cool. So, But I know Proteus is still around. So he goes, once more I hunger. I'm consuming this shell too quickly. Must find a replacement. And so he sees Mastermind, he's like, was gonna take it. He goes, what? It cannot be. He has some kind of psychic shield blunting my attack. I'm too weak to smash through. Must let this prey escape. So, unfortunately, this person is not as lucky. And he goes, excellent. This young shell is young, strong. It will serve me well. So, all right. And so, um, it looks like dawn is coming now, so it's gonna be morning here. So Cyclops has a map there, noticing that there's a lot of places for Proteus to go hide and bodies to replenish. So he says, we're in this third panel here. Finding him won't be easy. We don't know what he looks like now, how he's traveling or which way or how much of a head start he's got. Worse, he doesn't seem to register on Cerebro or any other mechanical sensor. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so I'm splitting us into 4 teams with Storm and Phoenix acting as airborne scouts. If anyone spots anything, no matter how trivial, let me know. Let's roll, X-Men. So here comes everybody. So it looks like Cyclops is with Moira McTaggart, and she's holding her rifle here. Suppose he's outfoxed us, Scott. Suppose he never left Stornoway. That's partly why I left Jamie behind, to monitor police and radio frequencies. If any more mummies pop up, he'll call. This must be pretty rough on you, Moira. And she says, aye. He was a beautiful baby, you know. Hated his father, but I loved him. I still do. When his mutant power emerged, changing him, I tried to find a cure. I failed. He has 2 fundamental weaknesses, his constant need for new host bodies and metal. He can't abide non-organic materials. Metal can imprison Mutant X or destroy him. So, well, we know Colossus is going to be important. So, and so here comes Phoenix here. I should have mentioned to Scott that Mutant X seems invisible to my telepathic powers as well. I should have told him a lot of things, but I couldn't. The vibes I picked off him were so confused. He's changed, grown too. I'm glad of that, I think. But how will it affect us? And of course, it looks like he's Jason is looking at her, or Mastermind here. The X-Men are out in force. Heaven help whoever they're after. In so many ways, Phoenix is the most powerful X-Men, yet also the most vulnerable. So, suddenly Phoenix turns, or her mind, because Mastermind is trying to take over her mind or change her mind, which we will see what it leads to in the Dark Phoenix saga, which we're 2 issues away from starting. So we got 2 more issues to deal with Proteus, and then off we go to Dark Phoenix, and then off we go to Days of Futures Past. So, all right. Oh no, it's happened again, and she pictures herself riding a horse with Mastermind, and so they're on a hunt, I think, and so trying to get a stag, and the horse's name is Satan, and he's like, Sir Jason, the dogs, I'll deal with them. Back, you curs, back, I said, as he whips him. Oh. And so, you're most fortunate indeed, my lady, the beast still lives. As the first to run it to the ground, to you goes the honor of administering the coup de grace. Thank you, Sir Jason. I can't remember when I've had a finer sport, milady. It was a master stroke of yours, suggesting we hunt a man playing the role of a stag rather than the animal itself. A man, she says, as suddenly, as frighteningly as it began. And so, ends up now, she finds, whoever it was Proteus had taken over. A man, I wanted to kill him. I was about to. What's happening to me? What am I becoming? Wait, this body is real. And so Here comes Nightcrawler and Wolverine. Wolverine, Cyclops is on the radio. Phoenix has found a body mummified like Luke McWhirter's. Good for them. Keep the noise down, huh? I've got enough hassles following this trail as it is without you distracting me, he says. Trail? Cyclops says the body is fresh. Mutant X must have only recently abandoned it, and it's over 10 miles away. How could he have gotten uh, from here so quickly? He says, my nose don't lie, pal. Those bodies X possesses give off a distinctive scent. Picked it up just before we hit this flaming fog. Been following ever since. And to answer your question, he's getting around the same way we are, in a car. And of course, he's got this cop, which Wolverine knows that he's in that cop. And so here we go. Incredible. You've seen through my deception, but that will do you no good. Spare yourself needless pain, little man. This will be over before you know it. So, energy flares between the two men, and Wolverine finds himself drowning a Mutant X psyche. He fights desperately, but it's no use. He has barely seconds of life left, and then you see this scream here, and something is hitting his mind. And of course, it's the adamantium. Metal. This X-Men's full of metal. Alien. Deadly to me. And of course, he pops his claws. He says, ain't that just, it ain't just metal, sweetheart. I've got a skeleton made about $3 million worth of, $3 million worth of adamantium. But if you think my bodies are deadly, get a load of my claws. So he's about to go get him. Are you Wolverine? I think not. And so you call me Mutant X, but I have a better name. I am Proteus, the mutant who masters reality. And so we see Nightcrawler and Wolverine kind of being dealt with by Proteus here. And we're going to see more in the backup story. Well, a little bit more. So I need practice in the use of my ability to warp the very fabric of reality. You two X-Men make a fine or fitting guinea pigs. And here comes Storm. Away from them, monster. While Storm lives, you'll harm no one. And she uses lightning to try and get him. So, and Storm says, that policeman must be Mutant X. I can't attack him directly. Evil though he is also a living being, and I will not take his life. But I can prevent his escape. And he goes, my car. The explosion caused me pain. You'll pay for that, witch, he says. And so he uses his power against her. You can see all of a sudden, boom, as she falls. And I cannot possess Wolverine's shell, and Nightcrawler's appearance makes him useless to me. But you women are perfect. And Storm's hurt her shoulder, so she can't fly. And so she's going to use her wind powers to see if she can blow him away. And so Wolverine storms her. We've got to help her. And he says, we can't. And Wolverine gets on top of Nightcrawler, uses his claws, as she is going to use hurricane force winds to try and blow him away. And you see Proteus here using his power. And we get to the end of the issue here. A great panel here, kind of Proteus here and Storm. So next issue, The Quality of Hatred. But of course, this is classic X-Men, so we got a backup story to go with. And so it's and Nocenti writes this part. We're just gonna kind of go through it real quick, but John Bolton, again, using his very cartoony element here, but then he creates something serious. So I do love John Bolton. So we're just having a little bit more exposition during this battle. And so, and we kind of all saw how it goes, but Wolverine's like having none of it. He doesn't like how Proteus did it. I love the big, what would you call it? They're not really ears, but it's not really a cowl. So, love this panel here with Wolverine, and you can actually see his eyes. So, Um, Wolverine's not amused, but Proteus doesn't care. And again, look at that. Oh, beautiful. So Proteus is very, very powerful. Um, the way he's able to go into Wolverine. And John Bolton, just his art doing these, oh my gosh, doing these pages. It's beautiful. It's just, nobody draws like this now. Everybody's into this, copying and, going into Photoshop and just, oh man, I really, really, Image Comics really, um, created a mess because everyone wanted to draw like Jim Lee, like Rob Liefeld, like the art changed so much in the 90s, in the mid 90s, so everybody just wanted to be those guys. And man, look at this beautiful art of John Bolton. You look at these artists like John Byrne, Frank Miller. You even see even older artists like, oh my gosh, he did Frankenstein, and Bernie Wrightson, who did just beautiful art. And you just don't see very much of it in comics, not in the big two, at least. Everybody draws pretty and clean, and just none of these um big thick lines. Look at this, just beautiful. So all right. So he's, just look at the stuff that he's making Wolverine kind of go through and all that kind of stuff. So he eventually does cut him. So and so we get to the end of our backup story, because of course this was taking place during the battle. So anyway, and so of course Classic X-Men had a backup cover. So there we go. It's fun to see John Bolton stretch his cartoony, because you started to see it with some of it, but you didn't see it very early on. So all right, Classic X-Men 32 by Claremont, Byrne, and Nocenti, and John Bolton on the backup. Like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.